Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyerboxingnews.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Here are the stories in boxing that fascinate me on September the 13th, 2012. Now, it looks like Ricky Hatton is about to come back. Right? Apparently, we're just moments away, days away, from Ricky Hatton announcing that, in fact, he has a boxing license and he'd like to continue fighting. You know, I'm a skeptic. A comeback like this might work if Ricky Hatton has one specific fighter in mind. If he's coming back to avenge a fight or to fight a specific champion because he has seen flaws in that champion's approach that he can exploit, then maybe I'd buy it. But if Ricky Hatton is coming back thinking that he can rule the roost at either 140, where I believe he'd get battered by Lucas Mathis, for example, or 147, or God forbid 154, then I think Ricky is kidding himself for a host of reasons. First, Ricky Hatton, by his own admission, has had bouts of depression. That's a bad sign. I'm not saying that depression should exclude you from fighting, but let me just say it is so much harder to maintain your focus. It is so much harder to maintain your diet, your workout regimen, when you have a mental health challenge that, quite frankly, given that Ricky Hatton in the past has gained dozens of pounds between fights, I really wonder how he's going to be able to come back with depression and somehow turn over a new leaf and stay as dedicated as he'd have to be to continue fighting in his 30s, right? I think the depression is a big thing, right? I think, unfortunately, it's the kind of thing where there are going to be some days where Ricky Hatton doesn't want to fight at all, doesn't want to train. Also, I personally don't know how getting hit in the head while you have depression is somehow going to help your mental state of mind. So I think the depression makes the odds of a successful Ricky Hatton comeback slim as it is. I also think that if we look at the divisions, and if we look at the Hatton who left the game, we would realize that he can't come back at 140. Right? He would have to come back at 147. At a minimum, 147 and higher. And all I'm saying is there are too many young lions at 147 for him to really be able to rise to the top of the division. I think Ricky Hatton would lose to Floyd Mayweather. He's already lost to Floyd Mayweather at 147. I think he would lose the rematch to Floyd Mayweather. I think he would lose to Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao might have a lot of challenges against the Juan Manuel Marquez's of the world, against the technicians, the Timothy Bradleys of the world. But the one thing Manny Pacquiao still has is hand speed. In fact, it's hand speed mixed with power. Now, how is Ricky Hatton's hand speed or ability to cope with Manny Pacquiao's hand speed going to improve after 3 years outside of the ring? I think Ricky loses to Pacquiao. I think Ricky loses to Devin Alexander, who also has blistering hand speed, Andre Berto, Timothy Bradley. In other words, there are too many top guys at 147 pounds who would have a very good chance of badly beating Ricky Hatton, right? And of course, at 154, You have guys with punches at 154, right? Canelo, um, James Kirkland, right? These guys are very hard to fight when you're young and in your prime. A Ricky Hatton James Kirkland fight, would you really wish James Kirkland upon any guy who's been out of the ring for 3 years? Let's also talk about the ring style. You know, they say power is the last to go. That's great for Ricky, right? The problem is, they say the legs are the first to go. Ricky Hatton's real fight style was to smother you. It was to get you up on the ropes and to stay in your face, right? That's how he was able to beat guys like Paulie Malignaggi, who I don't think he beats today, right? And so, with that fight style, that aggressive physical lifestyle, ask yourself, how many guys with that lifestyle, that ring approach, how many guys are still fighting in their mid-30s? That's a young man's style. Joe Frazier tried to come back. Look up what happened in his last fight, in his comeback. We all saw Mike Tyson at the end of his reign, right? Guys who really rely on bodying you and bullying you up on the ropes, they don't age well, right? The guys who age well are the guys who are able to not get hit that much. They're outside. They're moving around. They have a jab, right? You don't have a lot of warriors who are above 35 years old, or even at Ricky's age, 33 years old, right? You really have to have defense, something Ricky Hatton was never that good at. You really have to have defense if you're going to continue to operate in boxing in your 30s, right? Defense or, movement with one punch knockout power, right? Sergio Martinez, hard to hit, great defensively, can take you out with that straight left. He's 37, you'd never guess it. Right, now Ricky Hatton, all I can say is he was defensively limited in his prime. Now I'm supposed to believe that after 3 years outside of the ring, he's going to come back in his 30s with better defense than when he left, with stamina to actually hang with these young guys, and he's going to be able to still have the same legs and still be able to track down opponents and corner them like he once did. I'm a skeptic. I think this one ends badly. I hope for Ricky's sake he's targeting maybe Paulie Malignaggi, who he fought before, who has a title at 147, and he's coming up with a game plan to beat Paulie. But if he's thinking, and by the way, I think he loses that fight, but if he's thinking about just coming back and actually having a series of fights, being like Vitaly Klitschko was, come back after several years outside of the ring with the idea of dominating a division, I think he's kidding himself. Vitaly Klitschko operates behind a jab, is rarely cut in fights, is rarely hit flush in fights, right? Is always in shape. So whatever the chronological age, the guy's body has never been out of shape, right? I've never seen a Klitschko brother with a pot belly. Never, right? The idea of these guys going to the pub and getting wasted and being on the party circuit and then having to lose weight for a fight is just inconsistent with their philosophy. Unfortunately, we all know that's the life Ricky Hatton's been living, right? So I don't think Ricky Hatton, quite frankly, has the ability to come back and be successful after 3 years outside of the ring. I hope to be surprised. Ricky Hatton certainly is a colorful character, but boxing's a young man's game. It's not a game for 30-somethings who, have to leave the pub to enter the ring, right? It's not a game where middle-aged guys, are feeling depressed, and then suddenly they feel great, step in the ring, and are able to beat the Timothy Bradleys and Victor Ortiz's of the world, right? I'm a skeptic on the Ricky Hatton return. Let's talk about another story. Looks like 50 Cent and Floyd have changed whatever future business plans they have, and it looks like 50 Cent right now has a new business partner, Manny Pacquiao. And apparently Pacquiao and 50 Cent are very excited, and they're going to be involved in a host of things, music related as well as boxing related. Let me just say, I think this is a great idea. I think both guys have very successful brands. If you show up at a fight and you were to look in the front row, you'd be able to spot and recognize Manny Pacquiao. You'd be able to spot and recognize 50 Cent. I think the success that 50's boxing promotion outfit, TMT, had in attracting Andre Durrell, Celestino Caballero, Yorkis Gamboa, Billy Dibb. I understand Billy Dibb has now left TMT. But the fact that 50 was able to attract all this talent shows you what he brings to the table, right? And let me just say, New York, East Coast, where 50's from, is a hotbed for fighters, right? Even now, after, of course, Mike Tyson, Riddick Bowe, Shannon Briggs, even now you have Monty Barrett still fighting. You have a lot of athletes in that New York tri-state area. 50 Cent is, knows the area since he's from the area, and 50 Cent's very popular in the area. I think that area is underserved in the boxing community. It would be great to have a well-funded, well-connected boxing promotional outfit able to recruit and groom local talent, right? And of course, I think the Philippines is underserved, right? You have countless great Filipino fighters, Brian Valoria, Nonito Donaire, in addition to Manny Pacquiao, and you've had many great Filipino fighters over the years. Any 50 Cent, Manny Pacquiao collaboration, I'm sure would be able to, again, cultivate that talent, grow that talent, and importantly, both guys have the juice to get things on television, to get things before the public. If Manny Pacquiao were to fight, you could imagine he'd be able to fill the undercard with fighters involved in the promotional outfit. So let's keep an eye on this. I think that it's a big venture. The truth is that Don King and Bob Arum are both older than 70, right? There's going to be a changing of the guard. There are fighters out there, Sergio Martinez comes to mind, big-time fighters who don't want to sign up with the giants, the golden boys, or the top ranks, because they want to make sure that their promotional team gives them enough attention for their career. So Sergio Martinez, for example, is with Lou DiBella. And keep in mind, boxing's more fluent than that. You have people with Gary Shaw, who's also on the rise. So I welcome Manny Pacquiao and 50 Cent. Their venture, I hope these guys are very successful. We'll see how it all plays out, because some of the fighters right now fighting under the TMT banner might follow Billy Dibb to Mayweather Promotions, right? Manny Pacquiao already has his own promotional outfit, right? We'll see exactly how these guys are able to put the pieces together. But let me just say, given the number of underserved communities, given the popularity of these guys, I wouldn't bet against them doing big-time things. Finally, Miguel Cotto, who at one point was thinking about entering the 160-pound sweepstakes, until, of course, Hassan and Jickham picked a different opponent. He apparently has announced that this weekend he'll be going to the Canelo Josecito Lopez fight, right? Instead of the Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Sergio Martinez fight. Well, let's understand that that's an indication. It's a big story you need to think about. That's an indication that Miguel Cotto plans to stay at 154 pounds. Right? The rumor is that he wants to fight the winner of the Saul Alvarez Jose Cito Lopez fight next May. Right? Assuming he gets by Austin Trout in December. And let me just say, I'm here on record as saying I don't think he does. Right? But if he does, understand Cotto is going to stay at 154 pounds. Also, other interesting news at 160. People know that Daniel Geale is on my pound for pound list. Understand, Daniel Geale has 2 of the belts at 160 pounds. Well, curiously enough, neither Chavez Jr. nor Sergio Martinez plans on fighting Daniel Geale, even if they win their match. Right? And so that should tip fight fans off to the fact that Daniel Geale is an underrated champion at 160, right? Some of the biggest players don't want to go for a unified title. Think about that. Also, an only in boxing story. It's clear who the best is at 168 pounds. That's Andre Ward. Not only did he win the Showtime tournament, not only has he fought, Carl Froch, Arthur Abraham, Mikhail Kessler, Saki Obika, right? Not only has he taken a grand tour through the division, but he's even gone outside of the division and taken out the light heavyweight champion. So, only in boxing. You know what's happening now. The WBC, who doesn't like the idea of having a guy hold their belt while he's holding other belts, even when he's earned that WBC belt in the ring, apparently is asking Andre Ward what his future plans are. Because the WBC might strip Andre Ward, who has spent the last 2 years taking on all comers, right? Only in boxing. Ridiculous. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments for me here online. Visit us at DwyerBoxingNews.com and GamblersAdvisory.com. Thanks for watching.